Good morning, everyone. I'm Rhonda Burkhart from HCC, and this morning we are going to do a refresher for inventory. Is everybody able to hear fine?
Yes.
Great. Okay, sound levels are good. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, I'm actually going to move this all over here. Right one here. Great. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and tape this I'm dating myself. Okay, and then we're going to put it on HCC's website under finance, under the software links and training. And it's going to be down here, scroll down a little bit onto the HCC training recordings. And if you're joining us, if you had joined for the USPS side, just a couple of days ago, Tanya did one on that. She's got that posted already. And then we'll put that one up here right above that. We kind of do it in date order. We had one on account changes, which was good. Document store. We've got to put a little hold on that. We'll see if we get that done before the fiscal year end. Might not, and that's okay. But that will be kind of something that we'll be doing in the future. And then we had a webinar on that, Tanya's new contracts, and then we're doing the inventory refresher. All right, so we're going to go ahead, and I've got the guide here. I'll be attaching that to the meeting and resending at the end of the meeting. So this will take about half an hour, I think. So the inventory, the first thing we're going to do is set up your new fiscal year. So to do that, you go under core fiscal years and then this create plus button right here. And then we'll populate that next year in the order. So it's 24, 25, now it's 26. It'll be create. Okay. And then select the circle check mark. That would be how you would make it the current year. That's how you would do that. So then to do that, we'll get the example here. And I need to move that because it's blocking everything. All right. So home. And then on the inventory, this is our demo instance. And then you would go under the core and the fiscal years right now, and ignore that all of these are open. I did not have time to close them. When you close these, we're not going to discuss closing, but it does take some time. It's kind of like when you close USAS, you're going to want to give it some time. You want to leave it in the current period of the year you're trying to close, and then you'd want to close it, but give it a good amount of time, because I did this one yesterday, the 2020, and it took a little bit longer than I thought it was going to, because I was thinking, oh, it's just inventory, but it does take some time to generate all those reports. So just to let you know about that, so you're well informed. One thing I don't particularly care for, just going to voice my opinion. When you click, so say I'm going to make 26 my current year, and you say that, and then, it was 26, it's still going to stay 26. Unlike USAS, so if we look at USAS, if you do that, and you go to core posting periods, one thing it does is it dims out that button so you can tell. And the other thing it does is it highlights it in green, which is like, boom, here I am the current fiscal period or year. It doesn't do that in inventory. So the easiest way to see is either number one, to look up in your top left corner and USAS, it's the top right corner. So this one is definitely 26 for the current fiscal year. The other way is to look over in your columns over here. So this one is current, and of course you only have one current. And so that would be this one for 26. And then for the open, you can see which ones are open. Usually I only have one or two, as I said. Takes an awful long time to close these. Well, I wouldn't say awful long time. I'd probably say for this test instance, it was about 15 minutes. So for a test instance, which doesn't usually have a lot of data, that's quite a bit of time. So for like a regular size district, that might take, 20 to 30 minutes. So just give yourself some time when you do that. Okay, you're going to have your dollar limit for what you're capitalizing. You're not going to have 0 for a life limit. You probably have like 5 or something like that, but that will also populate in here as well. And it's going to display your fiscal year start and stop date. So we'll say that we're going to be starting for our new fiscal year. We're going to kind of jump ahead a little bit. So we're going to create, and it already populates with 2027. And then it's got your dollar limit and your life limit. And then you just hit create. And then boom, it's already, there. So, and then of course the same thing you've got view, you've got edit, deleting, which, we probably shouldn't be doing that. And then there's the open. And of course that is the action to open. So right now, 27 says it's not open. So we're going to go and work in, as we said, we're going to be in 26. So we're going to be working in 26. Right. So now we're ready to start creating transactions. So to get the new items, actually pending items, in from USAS, the easiest way to do it is going into transactions, pending items, and then use this pull from USAS button. Okay, and that is going to pull in from USAS the items which were in the AP invoice, which had the EIS selection marked. So it's going to look for those. And the invoice date has to be on or after. There's a specified starting date that you have to enter in here. And they had to have been check marked for this EIS. That's very important. So when you have your payables person entering anything that should be in inventory, I don't know if you want to put, maybe EIS with a big old highlighter on there. Here's my highlighter. Just mark it with a highlighter on there, EIS, or however you want to designate that, just so it just kind of like, boom, it's right there. And also when you're doing this, that EIS can tend to fall off the screen if you've got the print a little larger. So you'll want to make sure. So here's this. I'm going to make this, increase this a little bit, but this is kind of, it's still very, let's see. Like if you have your print large on the screen in USAS, because you've got to see everything on there, then this EIS button might be all the way over here, which is what you need to check. And so what I've done is I've just kind of like this is that section of the screen and this is how it looks. So you want to make sure this is what you need check for the inventory item if you want that to go into inventory. All right, so we're going to zoom back out. But it can float off the screen. You have to actually go over to the screen on the AP invoice to see that. But we'll do an example of that. So core, or not core, transactions, pending items, and then you pull from USAS. Okay, so what that's going to do is going to pull those in from USAS. It's going to add to your list on the pending items. All right. So our next step. So those are going to be put in there. They're going to be added on. And then your next step is you're going to want to run a report. for the pending item list reports. It's under reports. And it's, remember, these are all alphabetical. So it's going to be under the B. It's near the bottom there. You're going to want to run that report. And so there's different sort options. There's different formats. Kind of like PDF option on this one, because looking down here, you can see that on this report, again, I'm going to enlarge it a little bit here. You've got the tag number where you can go around, you can walk around your school and take your tags, and you can put physical tags on those items. So the furnace, here's a furnace, you know, whatever your tag number is. Okay, I can stick that tag number and note on my report. Got my clipboard, my report. I'm just going to note what that tag number is. And then another important number on here is your PO number, because that's how you're going to bring it up to make it go from pending item to item. And once you make it an item, it's going to disappear off that pending item list. All right, so that is going to be, so you pull these in, and then we're going to go under reports. We're going to go down to our pending item list report, and you can select either OPU codes or sort options. And so I'm probably going to go with account code, and then maybe invoice date. And you can actually select more than one option. All right. And I'm going, and you can double space it, whatever. I'm going to go with this PDF option here. I'm going to run this report. Well, that's going. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Here's that pending item. And there's a few pages here. So, yeah, and a lot of them might not meet your criteria or whatever. So, you know, if it doesn't meet your criteria, so if it's on your pending, and you're like, okay, I've got this pending item, and maybe this air compressor is just too low. That's 21149. 1429. Okay. This just doesn't meet my criteria. I'm just gonna get it out of there. So it's like, it's gonna mark it as rejected in USAS. Are we sure we want to delete this? Yes, because it does not even come close to meeting my criteria. So if it doesn't do that, you can just knock that off. And then we'll just say, you know, and just go through and just evaluate things. Projectors. Okay, well, this is like 1100. If there's more than one, that's only 500 bucks. You know, so let's go down and find something that's kind of, let's see if they've got something nice and large. Okay. How about this smart board interactive display? It says board. It looks like it's one. So we'll say, and it's like, oh, let's see, there's 12. So that's 30,000 divided by 12. So that would be, I think that's, we'll say that meets the criteria. It's 2,500. So say our criteria is 2,500. Then we could do that. So let's see. So actually, I think they've got it in here where it's like 3,000. So let me get a little bit more. So you got things like, you've got 200 Chromebooks. Now I'm going to delete that one off, you know, see if they've got anything good. Ah, here we go. I like this one. So access control door system, there's only one of them, $21,000. Okay, and there's our PO. Okay. All right. Actually, I'm going to like this one better because there's only one PO number. All right. The fire curtain, 12,704 and 20072. So if I'm going to make that I've got that. I've tagged it. I'm going to go into the items. I'm going to create. You can do this two different ways. You can either enter the tag number and enter all the information yourself, or you can pull it from the pending items. So we're just going to review this again. 20072. I think that just seems to be okay. Item 1. So we just select that one. Here we go. Just like the $12,000. And then it's like, okay, so that looks good. And then you go, it's going to populate this. It's a major time saver. So, just, and then you continue to your item. Oh, got to put my tag number in. We're just going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Continue to item. All right. So from here, here's our fire curtain. If there's another tag, if you secondary tag, if you revalue your inventory, you could put your original tag number as your secondary tag. If there's something else you want in there, you can put that in there. You can put a serial number in there. It's a bus. You want the serial number. You want the model number. There's appraisal tags, an extra thing. Any kind of accessories. Lots of things. Category code. Okay, fire curtain. So let's see. What do they have in here? That's kind of, I don't have buildings in here, do they? Okay, we're just going to put it in as office equipment. Number of items 1. And the fund. So I'm just going to put, so it's 003. If they've got that there, 003. And then the function, 5600. If they've got that. All right. Asset class. And fire curtain, furniture. We'll just put in fire fixtures. Organization code. So you can put where it goes. We're just going to throw whatever that is in there. The condition code. If you bought it new, you're going to, that's going to be good. Good, fair, or poor. So new is good. And the location, wherever that would go. I don't know if they have a main office location in here. There's an office location. There we go. So wherever that goes for the location and the organization, status is active, the replacement cost, so the insurable value. So it's just going to make these the same amount. So, and then for your acquisition date, you've got, the date that it had on there. It was purchased. It could be purchased. And these are populated under your core, the donated, leased, other, purchased. All right. And then your depreciation, if this gets depreciated, you would note that it's straight line. If it doesn't, you would put it as none. And then your beginning date. So one thing I noticed recently on a ticket was the beginning date for the depreciation was before the acquisition date. So just kind of note that your beginning date and your acquisition date are the same. You want to make sure your life expectancy is in there if you're depreciating it. Okay, and then if you have older assets, you're going to see the depreciation transactions. If you have lease information, if it's a leased item, then you would note that. And then since it's above the threshold, it's going to be marked that it's going to be capitalized. So it's going to be saved also as an item and an acquisition. So we're going to go ahead and save that. Okay, we need to change this to, we're going to change it to We're in fiscal year 26. We're done page 26. We're just doing this to make it work with our demonstration. Where else is it? 26, 26. All right. We got 26 there, 26 there. All right. So that isn't going to work for us at the moment because it's in the test system and of the type of item that it is. So when you do, it is going to save it and in the year that you're in, and then it would also make an acquisition for that. So here we go, where we're creating it. We're using the PO number and then continue to item. We're entering the tag number. And then I have some notes on the tag. Okay, and just remember, like your dates, life expectancy, depreciation, or else it's not going to be able to depreciate. All right, and then here's the thing, it emphasizes the items that you want. That physical inventory date, the acquisition date, beginning date, life expectancy. You want to make sure all of that's in there. All right. And if it meets the capitalization criteria we discussed, it's going to add it also as an acquisition. All right. And then you just want to continue and add your other items on there. Okay. So one thing, the tag number can be numeric or alphanumeric. The maximum number for that field is 20 characters. So that's just to know. You can have, 20 characters gives you a lot of leeway into how you want to make your tags, how you want to label your things as tag numbers. Okay. And so if you have anything which didn't get marked as EIS in USAS, and it does need to be added, we have a report in USAS. It's called Inventory Catch-Up for inventory items. And so if you don't see that, then make sure that you ask us by ticket to get that in there. So be in your report manager. And then I'll either tag it in the tagline as inventory or EIS. So we'll say we're doing this. So the beauty of our test systems is they're all backdated. So we generate that. Like a CSV or an Excel format. You'd be good for that. And then usually I pre-populate these. Sometimes you get supply type items that were miscoded and they really should be put in inventory, but they just have a 500, a 5XX code instead of a 6XX code. So I just pull in both from 500 to 699. And then just looking at, it's in there, it's fiscal year 21. You'll use different dates. You'll use like July of 25 through June of 26. And then you'll fill in whatever your district's threshold amount is. So if we generate that, then that will get you a lovely Excel file. All right, enable this. All right. All right, there we go. And so it's going to give you your PO, the item number, your invoice number, your account number, and this. So improvements other than buildings. Okay, so it's like we don't know exactly what that is. And that might be you have to go research, find this Byron Industries, and then figure out what that was because that's not a good description for your item. So again, capitalized equipment, it's just, well, what type of equipment is it? So this type of thing might take a little bit of research. Another thing you might want to do is filter, and I always like to freeze my top row because long spreadsheets. Anything that is a canceled invoice, we obviously don't want to capitalize. So I'm just going to take these cancels out of the picture and delete those rows. Okay, and then I've got everything else that is real. And then you could sort by POs because maybe things go together. Let's see, custom sort, and maybe you want it by PO. My data has headers. I have to put that. Got to get that checked the other time. And then maybe you want it by PO. Maybe you want it by the item number because it might be the same type of thing. We'll just sort those like that. So there we go. So you have this pay app 3, pay app 4, pay app 2. So these things might go together. They're the same vendor. They're the same line item. And it looks like you paid for them in like second, third, and fourth installment. So those might go together. So when you put them in, you might want to group them together and put them in as one item. So those, we're going to skip the pending item step because they didn't get input. And we're going to make sure that we look at our pending item list because we don't want to put in something twice. So you want to verify in this. So you might want to go through this and say, oh, I've got something similar. You could go through and say, oh, I might have something similar on here that's on here. And then I don't want it duplicated. So it's like, we're going to delete that line off the list. It's like, okay, if this is duplicated, we'd delete that off. Or if maybe this piece of equipment is duplicated, we'll delete that off. You see like the same PO or something like that. That might be a good way to look for it because these are done by POs. So you go through and you make sure you don't enter things twice. And then the one for the Excel sheet from USAS is that you make sure everything's complete because that's one thing in accounting. You want to make sure it's complete. You don't want to make sure you don't have any duplicates. And everything's listed that needs to be listed. So you go through and you just enter all of these. The nice thing is you can go through and you can copy and paste. You've got your account code, all that. You want to find exactly what that is. You've got your amount, you've got your vendor number, you've got your vendor name. So when you enter these all in, you can just do basically a cut and paste for these fields when you're entering the items. And those you would just, when you add the item, it's going to be, you're not going to choose from the pending items. Those from the Excel sheet, you're going to just add them as and put in the date, and then your account number, you've got that. You can cut and paste that. Vendor number, you can cut and paste that. Vendor name, you can cut and paste that. You can cut and paste the PO date, cut and paste the amount, unless you're grouping, and then you sum them up and then put in the total. Cut and paste your PO number, your item number. I want to see if there is a check number on here. If there isn't, would have to look that up. I might be able to improve the report. Let's see if I can get the check number. see if that's possible, depending on where it's pulling it from. So then you do that, and then you continue to your item. Oh, yeah, of course. We're just gonna say just to continue the item. And then the rest of this stuff. So this might be on invoices, so you might have to pull some invoices or whatever. If it's something that didn't pull in, which needs those fields, the description, like I said, the one was pretty vague. You need to get something more descriptive. Then you need to know your category codes and fill everything else in there. So, and all of that. So that's how to do it from the Excel sheet. Okay, so now we've got things in from the pending item list where we had the drop down, and then the Excel sheet, which is going to be some hand entry, maybe some cut and paste from the Excel sheet. So, and this is the instructions and the useful fields and all that. We're saying we're deleting out the canceled ones. So there's just an example, that same example that I had. I highlighted the cancel to show that you delete that out. So next, it's like, okay, I've got everything in that I need to add. Now I need to take care of everything that I've thrown away. So while you're going through getting those tag numbers for the new things, hopefully you've been keeping track or finding out what items were thrown away and getting those tag number items. So either taking notes as we go along when people hopefully let you know that things have been disposed of, or doing an item inventory and saying, oh, this is here, this is here, this is here. Oh, that's not there. So finding out that, yes, we threw that away. Something happened to it and we had to dispose of it. So for disposals, you go into transactions, dispositions, and hit create. So this is a little easier because all we're doing is getting rid of it. So you'd select the item that you're getting rid of. You're going to put in your date that you're getting rid of it. You're going to put in your disposition code, destroyed, thrown away, sold, whatever it is. If you sold it, you're going to enter your amount received. And then you're going to say who authorized your district to get rid of this item. And then it's going to populate in the other fields. That's why they're all them. So, and then it will note that in the system that it was disposed, and it's going to appear on disposal reports and the change in asset reports. So now that we're talking about reports, first we're going to go look at that disposal. So that's transaction. And then your dispositions. And then you'd create one. And we're just going to pull something up. I'm just going to pull up the first one here. Okay. So, and I'm just going to say it's disposed of today. Amount received. I'm just saying we just threw that wisteria away. And we're just going to say it got, well, I don't want it sold. I'll just say, we'll just say destroyed by natural disaster. Maybe they need a different disposition code. And then we could do that. So it got destroyed and we didn't receive anything. Whatever it was, it got all rusty and we threw it out. And so maybe that was in the athletic. There's something there, and I'm going to say who disposed of that or who authorized that to get thrown away. And then you're just going to create that. So there we go. You can look it up. So evidently there are lots of them. And you can have the same filtering capabilities pretty much as USAS. So I think I had that as today. So if I'm looking for that, there it is. I can look at that. You know, you've got different options on that. Maybe it wasn't the athletic director, maybe it was somebody else. You can change that. If it wasn't destroyed, maybe it was sold, you can change that. When you do update that, if you said, oops, I created this by mistake, or I thought it got destroyed and it wasn't that one, it was something else, then you can delete it. And then, so there's like equals, there is, so maybe if there's like a greater than, maybe that, no, let's see if we go back there. I get a few more. Okay, this is the next time. There's a lot of activity. Okay, so you can see like everything here is greater than that. Should be greater than that date. And that's not, that doesn't look like it should have been in there. Not sure why that was, but you can sort by code, everything that was sold, or maybe a cost you're looking at, maybe a tag that you're looking at. And then you have the reports. So a lot of these reports are very useful. The CAP report, so anything with like the activity, you're going to have your fixed asset by function class, and these are generated at the end. So, show report options by function and class. One's class, and then there's a summary. So maybe you want the detail. These are audit reports. It might take a while to get that. Still working on it. Well, it's taking a while. So, but there's different reports in there. There's one by source. There's a change in depreciation. There's also a change in fixed assets. So it's going to start with, what changed during the year. So that's the values that it's going to give you. So this one is taking quite a long time to go. There's also a book value report. That's handy. So you can put in, your dates there and fund options if you want that. The item statuses. Oh, there it goes. Okay. You can have active. So this one, again, you can choose multiple things such as active. You can do active, new item. So maybe you have things under different selections. And then you can also choose if it's capitalized, non-capitalized, or both. All right. And amount selections. And then how to sort it. So maybe I want it by, like the asset class and I don't know, maybe the location. Okay. And since the other one took so long to do, I'm not going to do this one. So then you can generate that. Here's that other report. Okay. So this one it was by function and class. So governmental instruction. There's the original cost. And then you've got your book value there. So that's just kind of a summary report there. And then it gives you a total at the end. Right. And I need to move my thing again. There you go. So these take a little long to run, but then you can run your different reports. Brief asset listing, that's another good one. The capitalized, if you want capitalized only, you can select that. Again, the statuses. maybe active new item, just depends what you've got in your items. And then the sort options, like exit class, maybe your acquisition date, and then includes previously disposed items. That would be good. And then generate that. Again, that's going to take a while to generate, but those are really good reports. So then you want to just verify they look good. Another thing I have down here is that you have the crossover reference. So from what your class or your classic report was, and then what is called in the inventory instance. So, and then a description of the report. So those are all listed here. The schedule of change in fixed assets, their EIS 103, and the depreciation 104. And then it's got the non-GAAP reports here. The audit report's another good one that we've used several times to figure out kind of like the who, what, when, where, why, and of, what was done to this asset. So, book value report, 3-facet listing report, and then some other different ones there. So, just for if you're used to the classic reference, it's a great crossover here. And also there's an inventory wiki. There's a link there. You can copy that and paste that, or you can go here and then the demo instance is here. And there's if you just want to try things out, we can also create a test instance for your district if you want to test some things out. The wiki is right here under the support USAS USPS inventory. ESS. Inventory is third down. And then the user manual. You want to use the user manual. So, and then you can go through and then, you could look up acquisition. There you go. Make sure inventory. There you go. How to create it, edit, delete, if you want to do something like that. So, very valuable resource. All right. So, the closing is something I think we're going to tack on to the USAS fiscal year closing. So, but I noticed a couple districts had some issues and questions because inventory isn't always something that we do every single day. So it's kind of like, oh, it's time to do inventory again. And I just need a refresher on this. So that's what this course was about. So does anybody, and feel free to unmute yourself. Do you have any questions? All right, I'll send out the guide and then feel free to submit a ticket if you've got questions or you're working on something and you're like, oh, wait a minute, this happened and I need to know how to handle this. You can split some things and stuff like that, but I just meant this as a general overview, and then the kind of the different issues that we come up with, we can deal with on a district by district basis. So, all right, wish everybody a happy Thursday and have a wonderful day.